Okay, so for today's adventure, we're going to go to a little different spot. This is not a national park, state park, or any of those kind of things that we've seen before. This is just a random place where a river is crossed by a road. Here we have the Bear River, crossed by Highway 174 just north of Colfax. You can see it in the upper left corner, this Google image. I left an image of Highway 80 in this picture to show how close it is. So this is literally about 10 minutes off the freeway, and it's very accessible, and as we'll see below, a nicely defined area. Here in Northern California, you can do this kind of thing because there is gold in most moving water. Obviously, you'd like to be in a more exclusive area than where everybody can get to, but in a situation where you don't have a boat or you don't have a raft to get to other places, sometimes this is the only way to access a new area for gold exploration. So let's have a look. Here we see the satellite image. You see where the bridge is crossing the river, the rudimentary parking lot that we're going to be walking in a second, and the historic bridge which we're going to cross. At the bottom right base of the old bridge, you can see is a canal. Zoomed in a little bit here, you can sort of make out the canal, and that just has Bear River water, which is diverted probably for flood purposes. And again, you can see the upper shore is the one that we will be walking along and working. So let's go and have a look. This is the bridge of Highway 174 over Bear River, here just a little bit north of Colfax. To access the river at this point is extremely easy. This is a good road. You come down, make the turn, and then there's a parking lot here for 10 or 20 cars. Interestingly, as I walk down this way, there's both a bridge and then an historic bridge. And there's a placard there talking about the bridges that have been here. Of course, every bridge that was built from 1850 on washed out about every 6 years due to the extreme flooding. They had El Niños back in the day, didn't really know that that's what they were, but you build a bridge, it worked for a few years, and then it was gone. So this is called the Old Bridge and the Old Bridge Road, and you can see it's not anything like the technology that we use today with steel and reinforced concrete. This is just a cement bridge. It is, as with almost every bridge crossing one of our High Sierra rivers, a spectacular view to be had. As I get to the edge here, looking down the Bear River, you see a waterfall and then some running water. There's exposed bedrock, and here we are in July, pretty good water flow, and it is very cold. Switching to the other side here, you look upstream in the Bear River here on the old bridge of Highway 174. Again, dramatic view, really pretty. I've been doing a lot of panning on the American River forks lately, and I can say that this water at the same time is much colder. I know it's a lot colder because as I walk around the river, my feet get cold, and also as I was panning on a rock, a really gorgeous young woman came up and stripped down to her Victoria's Secrets and jumped in the water. As she got out of the water, because I need to be an investigator for you people who are watching this podcast, I went up and asked her, isn't that water a little too cold to swim in? And as she was putting her clothes back on, she said no, that she loved it. So there is something I did for you to verify that this is indeed cold water, but it can be swum in by women wearing Victoria's Secret. I will go down below and check out the prospects and keep you posted. So here I am underneath the old bridge, 174 highway passing over the Bear River. So we're going to walk right underneath the bridge, Highway 174, as it passes over the Bear River. You see the Bear River down there, a little set of falls, and a workable trail. Nothing great, but not too bad. As I step down, bounce, bounce, bounce. You see there's a rudimentary trail all the way down. So it might look a little bit slippery, but it really isn't. poison oak to the left of me, poison oak to the right of me, so do keep your eyes open. And this would be quite an adventure on a rainy day or with mud in this pathway, because it is steep and it is just loosely packed dirt. Hopefully I won't be recording the first major fall down an embankment that I've ever taken. But then again, if it's recorded for history, it is recorded for history. There's some nice poison oak there. I'll just rub the lens in it and make you guys all itchy. There's the falls. And there's the rocks that I plan on working over there. Step, step, step. And back to a passable little walkway. The ubiquitous thorny raspberry, which people eat. I never gotten it because there is bird poop everywhere. I'd want to boil the little guys before I would eat them. And there's the shallows. And you can see my equipment up on that rock, which is where I'll be working for a little bit. And you can see the spot that I picked. I'm going to try to look in nooks and crannies to pull gold out. The advantage here is that it's fairly isolated. The Bear River is relatively full of gold. And this spot here, I'm about 10 miles downstream of some major ancient dry placer beds that are visible along the highway between Colfax and Dutch Flat. So there is always a possibility of some of that placer gold from the old rivers being eroded out by this new one. It's also ridiculously pretty down here, very dramatic rapids. Up around the bend here, in just a few feet, is a waterfall, so I won't be seeing any rafters, at least any ones who are going to live for very long. There's also swirling pools, sort of a static looking little pond. There's underneath the surface, it looks like someone has been panning here, so I'm not the first one to think of this. But anyway, interesting spot, lots of nooks and crannies. I'm going to give it a try. Back later. Back down from the bit of turbulence. Again, this outcropping of bedrock. You can see that deep hole there. Looks promising if it's not too deep for me to get down into. And then here's the currently dry portion. I guarantee it, at some point that crack has held some nice gold. Whether someone's cleaned it out efficiently or not, I will soon find out, and I will let you, the public, know. On strategy. Like I say, you got to have a strategy even if there's no gold. The top of this rock has a vertical crack, a few deep pits. It drops down into this area near my foot with unconsolidated, some overlying stuff, and then into this transition with a deep crevice. You can see I've already filled this one in with water since it does have a lip. This way I can use my sniping tool without having to try to dry snipe. I find that much more difficult. So I'm going to grab a bucket of water. I am going to scrape this down. See, here's a little bit of a hole. Try to scrape all the debris out of that. And then when I wash it, hopefully there's some gold coming down in that dust. There's a little pocket of dirt there that could contain something. So I'm going to use buckets of water first, poured here, to wash down to here. Then I'm going to squirt real hard with this to wash stuff down. Then I'll process that, and then I'll process that. And then we will see. Alongside the Bear River here, you can see the water is slowed down, and then as it goes around the turn there, lean a little farther out, those are the falls. About a 10-foot drop there. But in this area, as you pan into this big debris that's here, you see a field like this that could hold some promise. Now, it could have been picked over 110 times, but you see in storm time, water would come cascading over that rock, fall into this pit, and it'd be any heavy gold would be restrained from flying up and heading off downstream. A little likely there too. And there's nooks and crannies that I probably won't be brave enough to get into, all the way down to where it's sort of touching the water. So my first try of the day will be to take some test samples here and then walk over to that quiet spot and pan them out. I will let you know. So I'm down about 4 inches into some somewhat tightly packed dirt. This is not bedrock, certainly not yet, but it's just rocks that have been concreted together with a lot of muddy dirt over quite some time. A few inches down, I've hit a few little flakes, so that's somewhat encouraging. And so this theory that gold would collect here is somewhat validated. I'm going to keep digging deeper. I'll see if more than a few flakes come out. So in the end, I'm watching a couple man and his boy fish, and I ended up working the area in those rocks, in the crevices, and the dirt below it. And it's kind of a typical day. I found a little bit of flecks, nothing exciting. I still am looking for that eternal nugget that we all want. This area under the 174 bridge in Auburn, it's reasonably pretty. The water is really very cold. Not so sure if this is a keeper, whether I'll be back or not. But any day looking for gold is a good day. I hope you're all well, and I'll keep you posted on other great spots in Northern California. So, end of the day, that's it in the pan. There's a okay sized flake there, a couple other smaller ones. So, not a lot to show for a day here at under the bridge on the Bear River. Certainly didn't live up to my expectations, since the Bear River is one of the better ones for gold per reputation. So anyway, that's the results, and I'll see you soon.